Hi guys, we have reached chapter number 23 of R.S. Sharma. This is about the South Indian kingdoms, which is in the Deccan region, you can tell, the peninsula region. So the formation of new states in peninsula, it is the timeline you can tell in the 1st to the 10th century AD, okay, the ancient time, okay, not the medieval time. So before that there were a lot of other kingdoms like the Guptas were there. After that, when it broke into different parts, we know Satavahanas were there, which we discussed in detail in another chapter, I think 16th or 17th chapter. So after Satavahanas, then the Vakatakas, the different names. Okay, I have to see in order again. I don't know what all there in this chapter. We'll go through when we read it. So like that, there are many other things. Okay, the Pallavas, Chalukyas conflict is there. That is one important thing in this chapter. Then we'll have the Cholas entry will be there, which will be again more prominent in the 10th century and all. So like that, at least 8 or 9 different dynasty names you will listen in this lecture. So it's better you make slight notes about it. Okay, it will not have much elaboration like NCRTs, which already is covered in our video series. But R.S. Sharma, in his perspective, how it is written, that we will go through. Okay, so make notes of what specific ruler names you see, or any specific temple which they did, or any architectural style. There will be something which is unique about everything. Okay, or some inscriptions, or some battle which happened between someone. So such things is what will be covered in this chapter. So make notes about it. Okay. So we'll see chapter number 23, formation of new states and rural expansion in the peninsula. So if you see the timeline here, 300 to 750 AD is how they began. Okay, so 300 to 750 AD marks the second historical phase in the region south of the Vindhyas. So Vindhyas, you know, if you have already seen the map of India and all, you know where is Narmada, where is Tapi, where is Vindhya mountains, Satpura mountains and all. So there, like kind of the central line of India, it continued some of the processes which had started in the first historical phase. So this like they are showing two phases. Okay, one is like 200 to 300 AD, and next is the 300 to 750 AD. It also introduced certain new phenomena which are not found on any scale in earlier times. In the first phase, we noticed the ascendancy of the Satavahanas over the Deccan and that of the Tamil kingdoms in the southern districts of Tamil Nadu. In that period, the northern portion of Tamil Nadu, southern Karnataka, portion of southern Maharashtra, and the land between the Godavari and the Mahanadi broadly owed allegiance to seats of political authority established outside their areas. They themselves did not have their own areas. They did not have their own states. Now, in these areas and also in Vidarbha between AD 300 and 600 AD, there arose about 24 states which are known to us from their land charters. Eventually, by the beginning of the 7th century of the Pallavas of Kanchi, Chalukyas of Badami, and Pandyas of Madurai. These are actually capital cities also. Okay, so this match the following used to come in the I think 90s and all in UPSC exam. Repeatedly these names were interchanged and repeatedly asked. Okay, at least in the last 20 years question papers you take, at least 12 or 15 times you will see these names. Okay, either it will be the right answer or at least it will be there in the options. Okay, to confuse you. So Pallavas of Kanchi, Chalukyas of Badami, and the Pandyas of Madurai emerged to be the three major states. The first historical phase is marked by the appearance of numerous craft, internal and external trade, widespread use of coins, and a good number of towns. So trade, towns, and coinage seems to be in the state of decline in the second phase, which is distinguished by the large number of land grants made to the Brahmanas. This we saw in our earlier chapter also, when how we conclude that coinage is declining, that more number of land grants are there, more number of inscriptions are there, that Agraharika is there, officers are appointed for those things. That means transactions are happening through land rather than money. So that is how we conclude that the coinage is declining. Now the grants suggest that many new areas were brought under cultivation and settlement. This period therefore saw far more expansion of agrarian economy. We also noticed the march of triumphant Brahmanism. In the first phase, we encounter extensive Buddhist monuments in both Andhra and Maharashtra. Cave inscriptions probably indicate the existence of Jainism and also of Buddhism in the southern districts of Tamil Nadu. But now Jainism was confined to Karnataka. You know, Karnataka, there is this Ravanabalgola and that Bahubali statue and all. So Jainism continued there, but Buddhism is something which was originated in India, but slowly it declined. Okay, so that is what they are telling. The second historical phase, Buddhism is declining. Okay, and in the peninsula as a whole, we find numerous instances of the performance of the Vedic sacrifices by kings. This phase also marks the beginning of the construction of stone temples for Shiva and Vishnu in Tamil Nadu under the Pallavas, and in Karnataka under the Chalukyas of Badami. So Jainism, Buddhism is declining or restricted to certain areas, but Shiva and Vishnu thing is increasing. Okay, so Brahmanism is triumphing under these people, these Chalukyas and the Pallavas. By the beginning of the second phase, South India had ceased to be the land of megaliths, and towards its end, we noticed the process which eventually made it a land of temples. The language, followed by the rulers and the literate class, underwent a change. Even if we leave aside the Ashokan inscriptions found in Andhra and Karnataka, epigraphs between the 2nd century BC and the 3rd century AD were mostly written in Prakrit. Okay, so Prakrit is there. Now, the Brahmi inscriptions, which are found in Tamil Nadu, also contain Prakrit words. But from about AD 400, Sanskrit became the official language of the peninsula, and most charters were composed of it. Okay, so like that, Prakrit is changing to Sanskrit. That is what they are telling. And here, if you see the general map, that 300 to 750 AD, which all places are important. They are not showing the dynasty names and all. It's just I think rivers are shown, and the city names you can see here. Urayur, Cholas. I'm telling kingdom. Okay, Urayur is related to Chola. Madurai is related to Pandyas. Kaveri Patnam again Chola. Kanchipuram is actually Pallavas. Here Badami Ehole is Chalukya. So these kind of things, like how I am telling, you should be able to tell it. Okay, even without seeing the map, when you hear these names, you should tell which kingdom it is related to. Okay, Mahabalipuram, Mamarapuram temple and all, it's like repeatedly asked in UPSC. You should know where it is. Okay, near Chennai. So Madras. Okay, Chennai is the new name. So like that, here Nagpur, here Maharashtra, Ellora Janta is there, which were like earlier timeline. Okay, now we are in the newer timeline where these places in the south is more important. Okay. So here again, ancient site, modern town. This is exactly, I told you, like 50 marks for history optionals is a map question. Okay, the first optional question will be 50 marks of map, and they will ask like this only. They will simply give this dot without the name, and they will give this description like it's an ancient site. So here, if you see, the ancient sites are here, the square boxes are the modern town. So these kind of things are already there in all 4-5 standard textbooks, which any UPSC aspirant has to do definitely. So you don't have to research much anything else. Okay, so most students tell us like how do we prepare for map questions, how do we prepare for optional questions. Everything is there in the standard textbooks. Okay, NCERT standard question, everything is there. So please do that first, and then if you cannot find something, then ask the query like where can I find things. Okay, so please don't go with open-ended questions when you are preparing for UPSC. You should be more specific. Okay, so that is about that map. So we saw like Prakrit and Sanskrit, and finally Sanskrit was coming into picture about in 400 AD. Now the states of the Deccan and South India. In northern Maharashtra and Vidarbha, Satavahanas were succeeded by the Vakatakas, a local power. Okay, this Satavahana we already done. Now this Vakatakas, who were Brahmanas themselves, are known from a large number of copper plate land grants issued to the Brahmanas. They were great champions of the Brahminical religion and performed numerous Vedic sacrifices. Their political history is of more importance to North India than to South India. We have seen how Chandragupta II married his daughter Prabhavati Gupta in the Vakataka royal family, and with its support succeeded in conquering Gujarat and adjoining parts of Western India from the Sakas in the last quarter of the 4th century AD. These are all discussed already. Okay, in the Gupta chapter and all, this marriage alliances and all by Chandragupta and all, we have discussed. Okay, and the Brahmanism is coming, Sanskritization is happening after the Mauryas. These things and all is already discussed. So they are again telling how these Vakatakas were important. Now, but culturally, the Vakataka kingdom became a channel for transmitting Brahminical ideas and social institutions to the south. The Vakataka power was followed by that of the Chalukyas of Badami, who played an important role in the history of the Deccan and South India for about 2 centuries till AD 757, when they were overthrown by the feudatories, the Rashtrakutas. So that is the timeline if you see. Okay, Satavahanas, Vakatakas, Chalukyas and Rashtrakutas. This kind of timeline ordering is a favorite area of UPSC. So that is why these chapters are important. Okay, if you have learned from chapter 1 to 27 in order, you will 2 times if you watch the videos in order, definitely everything will be by heart for you. Okay, and when you practice prelims, MCQs and answer writing of mains and all, this is like registered. So that is how a true UPSC aspirant should prepare. So don't think it is very confusing. Okay, the timeline and all is very easy thing if you know the story. So now the Chalukyas claimed their descent either from Brahman or Manu or Moon. They boast that their ancestors ruled at Ayodhya, but all this was done to claim legitimacy and respectability. Okay, really they seem to have to be a local Canaries people who were improvised into the ruling Varna under Brahminical influence. So this actually can like a passage they used to give in older days. Okay, they will give this passage and tell like which kingdom are we referring to. So you should know all these things. This Moon, this Ayodhya, this Canaries people, all refers to the Chalukya people. Okay, Ehole Badami is the capital cities. The Chalukyas set up their kingdom towards the beginning of the 6th century AD in the western Deccan. They established their capital at Vatapi, modern Badami, in the district of Bijapur, which forms a part of Karnataka. Later, they branched off into several independent ruling houses, but the main branch constituted to rule at Vatapi for 2 centuries. In this period, no other power in the Deccan was so important as the Chalukyas of Badami until we came to come to Vijayanagara in later medieval times. So Vijayanagara and the Bahmani and all we will discuss in the medieval time. Okay, but before that, these Chalukyas were the most important kings in that area, Karnataka area. On the runs of the Satavahana power in the eastern part of the peninsula, there arose the Ikshvakus. Okay, this is like the next one. Okay, in the different regions. So Satavahana, one side we saw Vakataka, another side we are seeing Ikshvakus in the Krishna Guntur region. Okay, Andhra region. They seem to have been a local tribe who adopted the exalted name of the Ikshvakus in order to demonstrate the antiquity of their lineage. They have left behind many monuments at Nagarjunakonda and Dharanikota. This also in the map it was there. They started the practice of land grants in the Krishna Guntur region where several of their copper plate charters have been discovered. So this is how the story goes. Now the Ikshvakus were supplanted by the Pallavas. Okay, so down against Pallavas. So imagine when you are reading each line, right, imagine the map in your mind. Okay, only then you will be able to connect. Okay, Satavahanas, Vakataka, Chalukya, Rashtrakuta, one line, and in the other line we are seeing Ikshvakus and Pallavas now. Okay, down south, Tamil Nadu area. So Pallava means creeper. Okay, the term means creeper and is a Sanskrit version of the Tamil word Tondai, which also carries the same meaning. The Pallavas were possibly a local tribe who established their authority in the Tondai Nadu, or the land of creepers, but it took them some time to be completely civilized, because in Tamil the word Pallava is also a synonym of robber. So because the name had this confusion, or the respectability was not there, and that is why they took some time to overpower or become a respectable kingdom. The authority of the Pallavas extended over both southern Andhra and the northern Tamil Nadu. They set up their capital at Kanchi, okay, Kanchipuram, identical with modern Kanchipuram, which became a town of temples and Vedic learning under them. The early Pallavas came into contact with the Kadambas. So one more name. So this is why I told at least 10 names you will see like this. Okay, so make notes. Kadambas, who had founded their rule in northern Karnataka in the 4th century AD. So everybody are contemporaries. Okay. They claimed to be Brahmanas and they rewarded their fellow castemen generously. The Kadamba kingdom was founded by Mayura Sarman. Okay, so this name Mayura Sarman is Kadamba. So like this is what I am asking you to make notes. Okay, because I don't want you to again read this textbook for these kind of few preliminary facts. Okay, it is said that he came to receive education at Kanchi, but he was driven out unceremoniously. Smarting under the insult of the Kadamba chief, set up his camp in a forest and defeated the Pallavas, possibly with the help of forest type. So he came, approached the Pallavas, he was insulted, so he started his own kingdom. Okay, that is the story of this Kadamba king, Mayura Sarman. Okay, now smarting under the, here, eventually the Pallavas avenged the defeat but recognized the Kadamba authority by formally investing Mayura Sarman with the royal insignia. Mayura Sarman is said to have performed 18 Ashwamedas or horse sacrifices and granted numerous villages to Brahmanas. The Kadambas established their capital at Vaijayanti or Banavasi in North Kannada district in Karnataka. So this Kadamba's capital is this thing, ruler is this Mayura Sarman, and so he did the horse sacrifice. So this much information is enough about Kadambas. Okay. The Gangas were another important contemporary of the Pallavas. They set up their rule in southern Karnataka around the 4th century. Their kingdom lay between that of the Pallavas in the east and the Kadambas in the west. So try to picturize it. Okay, Pallavas in the east, Kadambas in the west, and in middle there is the Gangas. Okay. So if you have to arrange in east to west or something, you should know this. Okay, it's very basic thing. So they are called Western Gangas or the Gangas of the Mysore in order to demarcate them from the Eastern Gangas who ruled in the Kalinga. So there is something called Eastern Gangas in the Kalinga. So these people in the Mysore were not called just Gangas, they were called the Western Gangas. So Western Ganga, Eastern Ganga, Pallavas, Kadambas. Okay, imagine the picture. Now for most of the time, the Western Gangas were the feudatories of the Pallavas. Their earliest capital is located at Kolar, which may have helped the rise of the dynasty because of its gold mine. So Kolar gold mine is related to Western Gangas. So this is the things which you have to remember. Now the Western Gangas made land grants mostly to the Jainas. The Kadambas also made grants to Jainas, but they favored the Brahmanas more. Okay, so this Karnataka region, Jainas are there, so they were getting this land grants and all, but the Brahmanas were also favored more. Now, but the Pallavas granted numerous villages free of taxes, largely to the Brahmanas. We have as many as 16 land charters of the early Pallavas. A few which seem to be earlier are written on stone in Prakrit, but most of them were recorded on copper plate. So stone inscriptions there, copper plate inscriptions there. Okay, in Sanskrit and Prakrit both. So any any excluded statement by UPSC will be wrong. Okay, everything is there. Stone is there, copper is there, Prakrit is there, Sanskrit is there. The villages granted to the Brahmanas were exempted from payment of all taxes and forced labor to the state. This implied that these were collected from the peasantry by the Brahmanas for their own enjoyment. As many as 18 kind of immunities were granted to the Brahmanas in a Pallava grant of the 4th century. They were empowered to enjoy the granted land free from payment of land tax, from supply of forced labor. So again, no point reading it. Okay, the ultimate line is they enjoyed a luxurious life of peasantry. Overpowering the peasantry. Okay, the Brahmanas. The Pallavas, the Kadambas, the Chalukyas of Badami and their other contemporaries were great champions of Vedic sacrifices. We have already seen Kadambas, the horse sacrifice and all. So they performed Ashwamedha and Vajpayee sacrifices, which not only legitimized their position and enhanced their prestige, but also added enormously to the income of the priestly class. The Brahmanas therefore emerged as an important class at the expense of the peasantry, from whom they collected their dues directly and also received gifts from a good portion, tax collected by the king and the subjects. So they are looting the peasantry also, they are charging the king also, because they will be doing this homas and all these whatever unwanted sacrifices, rituals, all these things which is still continued in India unfortunately. All these things they were charging money and they were looting people and they were kind of leading a luxurious life. That is the story of Brahmanas in all kingdoms. Okay, every contemporary kingdom which you learned here, everybody. Now this situation seems to have proved oppressive and eventually it is caused a revolt led by the Kalabras in the 6th century. This Kalabras again, it is important. Okay, this is actually a dark period, you can tell, between I think the 3rd and 6th AD. There's a dark period in the South India where nobody else is there. Okay, only these people are ruling. Okay, that I think we have dealt in other chapter as well. So the revolt affected the Pallavas as well as their neighboring contemporaries. The Kalabras are also called evil rulers who overthrew innumerable kings and established their hold on the Tamil land. They put an end to the Brahmadeya rights granted to the Brahmanas in numerous villages. It seems that the Kalabras held Buddhist persuasions, for they patronized Buddhist monasteries. It is significant that the Kalabras revolt could be put down only through the joint efforts of the Pandyas, the Pallavas and the Chalukyas of Badami. Okay, Kalabras revolt could be put down only through the joint effort. So that's what this Kalabras, who were evil rulers and were like ruling for some time, they could be brought down only by the combined effort of all these people. Okay, Pandyas, Pallavas, Chalukyas. There is also a tradition that the Kalabras had imprisoned the Chola, the Pandya and the Chera. Okay, again the other extreme south people. All this shows that the revolt had assumed wide proportions and produced repercussions outside the Tamil land. The confederacy of the kings against the Kalabras, who had revoked the land grants, made the Brahmanas show that the revolt were directed against existing social and political order in South India. So this Kalabras was a kind of a twist in the tail, you can tell. Okay, everything was like different people, feudatories or tribes coming into power or something, but this evil rulers came into power and everybody else had to unite to bring them down. Okay, so that is the overall gist of it. So hope all the names you have noted down at least. Okay, now we'll be focusing on Pallavas and Chalukyas. Okay, the main interest in the political history of peninsular India from the 6th to the 8th century centers around the long struggle between the Pallavas of Kanchi and the Chalukyas of Badami for supremacy. These were the two important ones. Even though we saw at least 10 names above in the previous pages, these are important. The Pandyas, who were in the control of Madurai and Tirunelveli districts of Tamil Nadu, joined this conflict as a poor third. Okay, so it's like these two are important and the third you can tell Pandyas, okay, in the order of importance. Now, although both the Pallavas and Chalukyas championed Brahmanism, performed Vedic sacrifices and made grants to the Brahmanas, the two quarreled with each other for plunder, prestige and territorial resources. Both tried to establish supremacy over the land lying between the Krishna and the Tungabhadra. Okay, this Doab region you will later learn, okay, when Vijayanagara and Bahmani kingdom, again they were also fighting in the Tungabhadra, Doab and the gold mine, diamond mine, everything was there. So same way, ancient times, these two kingdoms, Pallavas and Chalukyas, were fighting in the same region. Okay. So it is a bone of contention. The late medieval, see here as I told, okay, Vijayanagara and Bahmani. So time and again the Pallava princes tried to cross Tungabhadra, which formed the natural historical boundary between many of the kingdom of the Deccan and the deep south. The struggle continued for long with varying fortunes. So like here, Tungabhadra is the border between these two, okay, this Chalukyas and Pallavas. In the previous chapter, Harsha's thing also I told you that Narmada or Vindhyas will be a border between Chalukyas and Harsha. So north to south if you see, Harsha, Chalukyas and then Pallavas. Okay, this is how you imagine the picture and then you learn map. Okay, now the first important events in this conflict, long conflict, took place in the reign of Pulikeshin II, the most famous Chalukyan king. He is known to us from his eulogy, written by the court poet Ravi Kirti. Okay, Ravi Kirti, like same like in Harsha's time I taught you a name called Banabhatta, and here Chalukya's time I am telling Ravi Kirti. Okay, and the Ehole inscription. So this inscription name and court poet name is repeatedly asked, so please make a note. This inscription is an example of poetic excellence reached in Sanskrit, and in spite of its exaggeration is a valuable source for the biography of Pulikeshin. He overthrew the Kadamba capital at Banavasi and compelled the Gangas of Mysore to acknowledge his suzerainty. So if you see Pulikeshin, he is defeating all these small names which he learned, okay, Kadambas, Gangas and all. He also defeated Harsha's army on the Narmada and checked his advance towards the Deccan. Okay, Harsha's, which I told in the last chapter. In his conflict with the Pallavas, he almost reached the Pallava capital, but the Pallavas purchased peace by ceding their northern provinces to Pulikeshin II. So Pallavas also could have been captured, but Pallava, what they did is they gave their northern areas to Pulikeshin II and accepted. So that is how Pallava could retain, but all the others were fully captured by Pulikeshin II. So he is very, very important. Okay, about AD 610, Pulikeshin II wrested from the Pallavas the region between the Krishna and the Godavari, which came to be known as the province of Vengi. So this Vengi is again important, like Pulication captured it from the Pallavas. Here was set up the branch of the main dynasty, and it is known as the Eastern Chalukyas of Vengi. Okay, so that is how the normal Chalukyas, which is at the west, and then the Eastern Chalukyas in the Vengi region. Okay, because they captured from the Pallavas. However, Pulication's second invasion of the Pallava territory ended in a failure. Okay, so initially he powered this Vengi, but after that he failed. The Pallava king Narasimhavarman 630 to 668 occupied the Chalukya capital at Vatapi in about 642, when Pulication II was probably killed in the fight against the Pallavas. So the second failure is explained here. Okay, the Pallava ruler in the opposite side was Narasimhavarman. Okay, the other rulers are Mahendravarman and all that. In NCRT series you have already seen the chronology and who is the king after king and all. Okay, so like that, Pulication first he had success, then later he failed. Narasimhavarman assumed the title of Vatapi Konda. This also asked in prelims. Okay, who assumed the title of Vatapi Konda, or the conqueror of Vatapi? Okay, so that is Narasimhavarman of the Pallava dynasty. He is also said to have defeated the Cholas, Cheras, Pandyas and Kalabra. So if you see, Pulication II was one powerful king of the Chalukyas. Narasimhavarman was one powerful king of the Pallavas. Okay. Now towards the end of the 7th century, there was a lull in the conflict, which was again resumed in the first half of the 8th century AD. Chalukya king Vikramaditya II is said to have overrun Kanchi 3 times. Okay, so now the next Chalukya important ruler is Vikramaditya II. Okay, after Pulication. Now in 740 he completely defeated the Pallavas. His victory ended the Pallava supremacy in the far south, although the ruling house continued for more than a century afterwards. So the main defeat of Pallavas is under Vikramaditya II. Okay, so UPSC can ask like it is Pulication II who brought down Pallava, but that is wrong. Okay, he only took up the Vengi region. Okay, Eastern Chalukya, but this Vikramaditya II is the one who defeated Pallavas totally. Okay, even after that, one more century, some minor kings were there, but the supremacy was gone. Okay, in 740. Now, however, the Chalukyas could not enjoy the fruits of their victory over the Pallavas for long, for their own hegemony was brought to an end in 757 by Rashtrakutas. Okay, so 740 they thought like they will be the supreme power, but this Rashtrakuta will come up. Okay, and they will become the supreme power. So that is the full story of almost all the 6, 7, 8 kingdoms we saw. Okay, hope you understood it. Else watch that video one more time, because I have tried to read every line for you, and whatever is important I have repeated for you. Okay. Now temples. Besides the performance of Vedic sacrifices, the worship of Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, especially of the last two, was getting popular. Okay, from the 7th century, the Alvar saints, who were great devotees of Vishnu, popularized the worship of the god. The Nayanas rendered a similar service to the cult of Shiva. So this Alvars and Nayanas, that is Vishnu and Shiva thing, was what is the triumphing. Now the Pallava kings constructed a number of stone temples in the 7th and 8th century for housing these gods. The most famous of them is the Ratha temple found in Mahabalipuram, which is like UPSC asked it multiple times. Okay, Ratha temples at Mahabalipuram. Okay, Mahabalipuram, distance of 65 km from Madras. These were built in the 7th century by Narasimhavarman. Okay, again Narasimhavarman is important, who founded the port city. Picture is here but not clear. Okay, of Mahabalipuram or Mahabalipuram. So that is Narasimhavarman, who is involved also in the defeating of Pulication II. Okay, this city is also famous for the Shore temple, which was a structural construction. In addition to this, the Pallavas constructed several structural temples at their capital Kanchi. Very good example was the Kailasnath temple built in the 8th century. Okay, this Kailasnath temple is different. Okay, Kailasnath temple, there are 2 temples. Okay, in South India, one is this Pallavas thing, and another in Rashtrakutas time there is another thing in western side. Okay, which is also an architectural marvel. You can see videos also in YouTube. Okay. Even claims are there like humans cannot build such a thing, a scientific thing at that time, and like space role, like a role of aliens and all that kind of documentary by even BBC is there in YouTube. You can watch that. The Kailasnath temple at I think Ellora. Okay, so that is the 2 type of Kailasnath temple in 2 different regions. Okay, the Chalukyas of Badami erected numerous temples at Aihole from about AD 610. Aihole contains as many as 70 temples. The work was continued in the adjacent towns of Badami and Pattadakal. Okay, these are all historical places in Karnataka. Okay, I have visited these places, Aihole, Badami, Pattadakal. There will be a lot of ruins, there will be a lot of caves, these kind of structures, which if you are interested in these kind of areas, you can visit. Okay, Hampi is another one which is related to Vijayanagara Empire. Okay, Pattadakal has 10 temples built in the 7th and 8th century. The most celebrated of these are the Papanatha temple and the Virupaksha temple. The first, although 30 meters long, has a long handstand. This is, I don't think it's very important, this 30 meter, 40 meter and all. You should just know there are, these are all temple regions. Okay, Badami, Pattadakal and Aihole. Okay, now the temple walls are adorned with beautiful structures representing scenes from the Ramayana. We have no clear idea how these early temples were maintained. After the 8th century, land grants to temples became a common phenomenon in South India, and usually they were recorded on the walls of the temple. But earlier, the temples seem to have been constructed and maintained out of the taxes collected by the king from the common people. So earlier things are not known to us, but later we know like taxes were collected, and that is how temples were maintained. Some temples in Karnataka under Chalukyas were erected by the Jaina traders. Okay, so Jaina traders also have erected temples. Okay, you should know this. Although the common people worship the village gods by offering them paddy and toddy, they may also have made offerings to this temple to acquire status and to satisfy their religious cravings. The usual temple, how it is worshipped and all. Now peasantry. There is no doubt that for carrying on wars, for cultivating art and literature, for promoting religion, for maintaining the administrative staff, enormous resources were needed. These were apparently provided by the peasantry. The number of burdens imposed on the agrarian community is more or less the same in the Vakataka kingdom and the Pallava kingdom, although the former belonged to Vidarbha and the Maharashtra, and the latter to the southern. Again, they are summarizing the same thing. Okay, the Vakataka and Pallava where they are located. In addition to land tax, which was part of the produce, the king could demand a benevolence in the form of cereals and golds, and could have bore certain trees such as the palmyra for obtaining salt and moist substances such as sugar and liquor. This Palmyra Island, there is a place in world map if you know. Okay, try to tell in comment section where is Palmyra Island or Palmyra the location. Okay, it was asked in prelims once. So all derived from plants. Of course, all the deposits are and hidden treasures in the villages belong to him. Further, he demanded flowers and milk, wood and grass, and could compel the villagers to carry loads of free of charge. This king was entitled to forced labor or vishti. This forced labor vishti, by this time you should have learnt. Else I can assume that you are not even listening to my lectures. Okay, because at least 5-6 chapters have mentioned this term. Forced labor means vishti. Okay, so in connection with the visit of royal officials who could appear in the villages either for collecting taxes or punishing the criminals, and also in course of the march of the army, the rural communities had to perform a number of obligations. They had to supply bullocks for carts and provide cots, charcoal, ovens, cooking pots, and internet. So overall, this side heading you saw, right? It was like about the role of peasantry. So the taxing, the forced labor, all these resource collection, the peasantry had a major role, and they actually did not have a luxurious life or a peaceful life. Okay, they were contributing to everything. This whole list of imposed would show that the state made heavy demands on the labor and produce of the peasantry. Most of these demands were covered by the 18 types of immunities granted to the Brahmanas from the 4th century AD. Later, more and more demands were made on the peasantry. Rural expansion. Okay, these numerous demands made by the king of the agrarian population presuppose capacities to pay on the part of the peasantry. Collection could not have been possible unless there was increase in agriculture production. In this period, we witnessed formation of new states in the Trans-Vindhyan regions. Every state had a number of feudatory chiefdoms, which were small states within a large state. Each of these states, big or small, paramount or feudatory, needed its own army, its own taxation system, own administrative machinery, and a good number of priestly and similar supporters. So they are just telling a lot of small feudatory chiefdoms were there. Okay, not kingdoms, chiefdoms. Okay. Every state therefore needed resources which could be obtained from its rural base. Therefore, the state could not multiply without the proliferation of rural communities or increase in agriculture production in the existing villages. It seems that in tribal areas, the Brahmanas were granted land, and the tribal peasantry learned the value of preserving cattle and better methods of agriculture from them. So again, rural expansion was very much important for any kingdom to sustain. That is the full story. Okay, don't worry, this much lines are written. The line gist is that only. Thus, in certain areas, there was dearth of labor power. In order to keep the economy of such areas going, it was also found necessary to make over some sharecroppers and weavers to the Brahmanas, as it is known from early Pallava grant. So agriculturist is there, sharecroppers is there, weavers are there. So all kind of things, labor power was needed for a society to sustain. Therefore, the large number of grants made to the Brahmanas played an important role in spreading new methods of cultivation and increasing the size of rural communities. Okay, they're just telling in a story format. This paragraph may be important because terminologies are there. In this period, we come across 3 types of villages in South India: Ur, Sabha, Nagaram. Okay, Ur was special, usual type of village inhabited by peasant caste who perhaps held their land in common. It was the responsibility of the village headman to collect and pay taxes on their behalf. These villages were mainly found in southern Tamil Nadu. The Sabha type of village consisted of Brahmadeya villages, or those granted to the Brahmanas. So Brahmadeya means granted to the Brahmanas, and of Agrahara villages. The Brahmana owners enjoyed individual rights in the land but carried on their activities collectively. Okay, same like I told long back also, like the individuals will be owning the land but the decisions will be made as a community. Okay. The Nagaram type of village consists of the villages settled and dominated by combination of traders and merchants. Okay, so Ur, Sabha and Nagaram, 3 things we are seeing. Okay, Ur is the village where peasant class is there. Then we have this Sabha, which we had the other type of this Brahmadeya type of villages and all these things. Now this Nagaram is the where this merchants and traders are there. So 3 types of villages. They happened possibly because trade declined and merchants moved to villages. In the Chalukya area, rural affairs were managed by the village elders called Mahajana. So this is one term again you should know. In the 300 AD, this time, this village elders were called Mahajana. On the whole, the period 300 750 AD, good evidence of rural expansion, rural organization, and better use of land. Okay, these are things which can be noticed as per the historians' evidences. Okay, social structure. We can present a rough picture of the social structure that developed in this period. Society was dominated by princes and priests. The princes claimed the status of Brahmanas or Kshatriyas though many of them were local tribal chiefs promoted to the second varna through benefactions made to the priest. Okay, so when you give lot of things to the priest, what they'll do is they are the ones who will decide, okay, you are now eligible for the second varna kind of thing. Okay, else they are like the downtrodden. So this priest class is always exploiting the other varnas. The priest invented respectable family trees for these chiefs and traced their descent from age-old solar and lunar dynasties. Okay, so this priest will decide, okay, you are now from solar dynasty, you are from the lunar dynasty, or this lineage, or that clan, or this class. So like that, priest is deciding who is on the order of this thing. Okay, this tree kind of thing they have set here. They are telling here. Okay, age, solar, and where is it? Respectable family tree. Okay, like this they are arranging the people in order of how they are pleased. Okay, if they are appeased, like they are given some money or they are given some land or something, then they will tell like, okay, you are coming in the higher category kind of people. Okay, so these priests were mainly Brahmanas, though the Jaina and Buddhist monks should also be placed in this category. In this phase, priests gained in influence and authority because of land grants. Below the princes and priests came the peasantry, which was divided into numerous peasant castes. Possibly, most of them were called Sudras in the Brahmanical system. If the peasant and artisan caste failed to produce and render service and payments, it was looked upon as a departure from the establishment dharma or norm. So again, same thing. Okay, again round and round they're telling. If you appease the Brahmanas or priest, you will be considered higher caste. If you don't give them something which they want, you will be treated as lower caste. That's all. Such a situation was described as the age of Kali. Okay, like Kali Yuga kind of thing. It was the duty of the king to put an end to such a state of affairs and restore peace and order, which worked in favor of chiefs and priests. The title Dharma Maharaja therefore is adopted by the Vakataka, Pallava, Kadamba and the Western Ganga kings. Okay, Dharma Maharaja means he has to establish policies or whatever to end all these kind of things. The real founder of the Pallava power, Simhavarman, is credited with coming to the rescue of Dharma when it was beset with the evil attributes typical of the Kali Yuga. Okay, so this is one king, you can tell, who did something to change these things. Okay, to establish Dharma. Okay, this looting by the peasant, the priest and all, and whatever they were overpowering, he was the rescuer. Okay, one of the rescuers, Simhavarman, Pallava ruler. Okay, this Varman and all, you can relate it to Pallava. Okay, and another one more thing, Bhaskara Varman and all is like the northeast Assam region, which we discussed 2 chapters before this. Okay, so don't confuse. Now apparently it refers to his suppression of the Kalabras who upset the existing social order. Kalabras also we discussed already, evil rulers, dark age and all the other kingdoms had to unite to actually defeat this Kalabras. So that was also, this Simhavarman also played a major role in bringing down this Kalabras. So I have gone very fast. I know this chapter I have read very fast because a lot of pages were there, and also it is just a story. Okay, it's story of like who were the kingdoms. What you need to remember is the order of the kingdoms, the dynasties, where they are exactly located on the map. That also I explained to you. I helped you picturize it, and also the priestly class was looting the other people, and few important temple names and few important ruler names like the Simhavarman or the Mamalapuram temple or the Ratha temple. So these kind of few things are there which is needed for your exam. Okay, so if you do the chapters yourself, maybe you will struggle or you will feel bored. That is why this full series itself is being conducted in the form of videos. Okay, so try to listen to this, and then wherever I am stressing or repeating, that is what is needed for your exam. Okay, so I am completing the chapters also for you, and I am giving you what is needed for the exam also. So hope it has helped. I will come up with the next chapter soon, chapter number 24. Meanwhile, enrollments and all, you can WhatsApp me for queries, but for details of the enrollments, please first see the videos of test series and then drop an email at vaishupis@gmail.com, where you will get the payment details and also the schedule, the brochure, the PDF and all of that. And then test series, if you don't understand anything what is explained in the video, then WhatsApp me. Okay, there I will explain you your unanswered queries. Okay, so these questions also, just pause it and see what the questions are. If you are able to answer it, then this chapter is understood for you. Make notes, and again I am telling, watching videos alone will not help any aspirant. Okay, you have to write answers yourself and get it evaluated from someone who will give you a true feedback. Okay, that is how you will confirm that you have already learnt and you are actually going in the right path for UPSC preparation. So please watch videos, write answers, solve MCQs, and continue your preparation for 1 year. You will definitely clear UPSC. Okay, so thank you and have a nice day.